Anyone from group C and D on the call? Nobody from group C and D.
Yes, there's somebody here.
Okay. Thanks for the courage.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. Um, like you said, the assignment did scale us off. I just wanted to give my own view on the assignment and what I was able to do. So first off, I couldn't do like the presentation stuffs that the last other groups did because I had a little bit of hard time setting up, doing the setup for the assignments. But I was able to set up my VirtualBox environment for the virtual VMs. I was able to upload the Metasploit Metasploitable 2 that I got from the Metasploit this thing. But on my on the VirtualBox, when I kept running the Metasploit, it kept showing me to input username and password, and I used what was on the side, but it didn't work. So, but on my VirtualBox also, I didn't have a Windows server. I had a Windows operating system, Windows 10 operating system. So I just decided that since I have it also as a VM, I should see whether I could connect it to um my Azure account using Azure Arc, which I was able to do.
Okay.
I downloaded the Arc PowerShell scripts.
Yeah.
Um, Gave me a little bit of time, tough time because I copied it, but it couldn't work. So I had to go to my VM, then open my Azure account on my VM, downloaded the scripts, then ran it on the VM itself. Then the agent got into the VM and also connected to my Azure account, and the machine now showed up on the my Azure account under my Azure Arc. Then when I also went to my Microsoft Defender for Cloud,
Yeah.
I was able to get a full load of the inventory, which included the virtual machine I just onboarded, my subscription, and my Azure virtual machine also. There was recommendations for my on-prem, my virtual machine, the virtual machine I onboarded onto the Azure. There were recommendations for how to improve um stuff's running on it, and what to do going forward. So, but I just took screenshot of everything I did. I took a screenshot of all of them. I don't know if I should share them or my explanations are okay.
Your explanations are very, very great. But you can go ahead and present your screen. I think the first question I was even going to ask first was if everyone got the question, I mean the assignment brief itself. Was the assignment brief clear? The objectives, were they clear?
In a way, yes. When I read through it, in a way, it was clear because you had already demonstrated what we should do about for question tax one, deploying a vulnerable virtual machine, which was downloading Metasploitable and using virtual blocks to run it. So I think that was clear. Where the issue started coming up was um so the I think for me the basic issue was it was a Linux machine, and
Yeah,
when I tried to run it, it runs on this Linux command line.
yeah.
So the question was, for a Linux machine, for me the question was, how do you run the code for Azure on a Linux machine that enables you connect your Azure Arc, because the Arc is giving you a PowerShell script, or PowerShell this thing to write. So how do you connect a Linux machine with your PowerShell script, and what do you write? That was the question I had when I got to question number two. You understand? How do I connect a Linux machine with what Azure Arc was giving me? Although I know that on the Azure Arc documentation, if I had read further, I would have seen where they would have given me information about how to connect a Linux machine. But because I had tough time initially starting up with the VirtualBox on how to install VirtualBox and install whatever I wanted to install on it. So because I had to uninstall and reinstall again. So I couldn't have time to like go through what the Linux Microsoft Linux documentation was like. But that was the first thing. Then the second on the same second question, since I had a Windows virtual machine also, I was able then to do the question number two, which is onboard the VM to Azure using an Azure Arc, and connect the deployed VM to Azure using Azure Arc, and enabled hybrid machine management. Okay, so because I wasn't using a Windows server and I was using a Windows OS, I didn't have Windows management. You know, when you click on your machine, the options it brings out, it will bring out Windows management, of which if you go through, I think, as an Azure documentation, they will tell you if it's not a server, if it's not a Windows server itself, some of those management capabilities will not be there since it's an OS. So I guess the to enable hybrid machine management is what my own machine would have not been able to do. It would have, but monitoring and stuff like that, to monitor the machine on Azure, you'll be able to do it. Then for question number three, evaluate the security posture with Defender for Cloud. Of course, since you've onboarded on Arc, and I guess if you're still using the same resource groups and stuff like that on your Azure, you'll be able to see it on your Defender for Cloud, and you're able to access the recommendations, the security recommendations for it. So I guess for me, that's basically how I saw the questions.
Yeah, okay. So for each of the question I actually give you, it's to give you one of those issues that you probably encounter in real world. In most organizations, you have the security team being given oversight of protecting the organization IT system. But you often have the IT team who own those IT infrastructures. And in most cases, the IT team will use any OS. In fact, even any flavor of any OS edition that they find useful for their own work. IT will always look for their convenience. And I'm saying this because I actually spent like a decade myself in IT infrastructure. So I used to be into IT infrastructure both on premise and cloud. And in fact, if you ask me, I used to be a fan of Windows. I love Windows very much, and almost till tomorrow, I prefer Windows to Linux. But there are instances also where you have to use some tools that you can't get them in maybe Windows or in some other forms other than maybe you get them as an appliance, or maybe you get them, yeah, you often get them as maybe a virtual appliance or even as a physical appliance. And if you get them that way, you don't have control over the OS. For instance, maybe you buy, let me give you an instance of a server. For instance, if you have something like a 40 authenticator, for instance, if you buy a Fortinet appliance or any Fortinet device, Fortinet has everything already customized. You always hear something like a FortiOS that it runs, but underneath it is actually still a Linux machine. So if you have something like a Kemp, for instance, it's also an appliance. And for Kemp also runs actually on Linux machine. And in an environment where you've been saddled with the responsibility of securing the whole IT infrastructure estate, right? So it is always on you to actually go the extra mile and do the figuring out to ensure that all of the organization assets are onboarded and they are included in your security program. In fact, if you exclude any of the organization IT from security program, maybe for issues like these, that program is already being set up to fail. So the reason why I gave you that was because I felt like number one, in real world, things are not going to be homogeneous, or things are not always going to be easy. I know that a lot of us are going to be very what's it called, very convenient with Windows. With Linux or anything that make us do maybe more, maybe not easily, maybe not as comfortable as you will with Windows. And that's why I say we should try to use one of those vulnerability machine, maybe the Metasploit 2 or the Vol or VM. Yeah, but that said, thanks for your tenacity and the fact that you completed it even with struggle on your hand, and most importantly, you didn't run away from coming to class today because of that stress. Uh,
Yes, but I'm hoping that maybe I don't know, maybe at the end of the class or so you will show us how to do it correctly because
yeah, that's
I'm
what
guessing I'm not the only one, yes, that had
that's
those issues.
that's
Because
what
somebody had to tell us to use BIOS for us to even get virtual machine set up. And I think again another thing I discovered is that since your system is Mac, I guess most things you do on your own system works better than when you're using a Windows machine. So I just maybe I'm figuring it out as you're going on because it seems like it's easy, but for like something like a virtual box to install it, when you install it finish, it won't run. It will tell you have to go and go back to BIOS and then enable virtualization. And if not for someone that posted on the group what to do, I'm telling you, I would have not gotten that far. I would have just still been stuck there.
yeah.
So I don't know
Um,
whether going
the
forward, just a little bit of consideration for us Windows users.
Okay, so let me just give a bit of advice here. So the fact of a virtual machine is actually outside the scope of this training. The virtual machine, I mean, things like virtual machine would have been regarded more like an introductory IT concept that should be known. So that said, what I said about the BIOS in what I said about, okay, so let me be picking what you said one by one. By the way, there is nothing I asked you to do that I've not done before. I gave you because I know it's what you can do. And I believe you are already capable of doing it. And I think I did demonstrate up until the point of I demonstrate how to how to set up what's it called? How to create VM in the cloud.
Yes,
And
yes,
I demonstrated how to onboard to a Defender for Cloud. I
yes,
showed how to create a VM,
yes.
and I did not show how to install a virtual machine because that's going to take us out of the scope of the course itself, and we'll be spending time on things that I feel we should already know. And things that I feel we should already know, I'll rather just send maybe a YouTube link for anybody that does not already know all of those ones to go and do further reading so
Okay,
that that doesn't drag the rest of the class.
okay.
Or
I think that's fine. I think that's fine. If you can help us with that, I think that's fine. I don't
yeah.
know about any other, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, but
Mm.
again, I think as an IT security officer, more of your work will always be in researching and figuring out a way to do things. Now, about trying to add a virtual machine to Azure Arc. If you come into just so every one of you see how I go to Azure Arc. From inside Microsoft Azure, I can search for anything here. So what I'm looking for is Azure Arc. I already explained what Azure Arc is, which is more of an extension of the Azure Resource Manager. And basically, it provides an interface for you to extend administration of Azure to other systems where you have other infrastructures that you manage and you control, be it in other cloud or be it on-premise. And in most organizations, you have organization running maybe multi-cloud strategy. Maybe they are running some sort of systems in Azure and they have some sort of other systems in maybe AWS or even Oracle Cloud or wherever it might be. And in some instances, you have organization running hybrid where they have some servers on-premise in on their hypervisor, maybe a VMware, for instance, or maybe even OpenStack, or maybe they have on Azure Local or Hyper-V, as the case may be. If you want to manage those systems and be a lot of time, you don't want to be paying for different solution if you have one single solution that can manage across all of those platforms. And that's one of the, and if you look at the brief, I try to make the brief also relatable so that you have a concept of, oh, why are we doing what we are doing? Just for you to be able to relate. So basically, that's what Azure app would do. And if I come under machine here, I have the flexibility of adding or creating a machine in a connected host environment if I already have an environment connected. But now if I click on create, I have different things here. I have add servers from AWS. I have add Windows servers with installers. I have add multiple servers and I have add a single servers. Under add a single servers, if I click on generate scripts, it asks me for information about the resource groups that I want to add to. I already have this one, I can leave it here. I can put this anywhere that I like, but I did mention that always think of data sovereignty when you are creating a resource in the cloud. And you see here, you have your server detail, the operating system, and you have the flexibility between selecting Windows and Linux. Now for your Metasploit is a Linux. So if you, I believe I also shared a link on Azure Arc here. I recall I shared this link on the call last week. So basically this actually also, I mean, for people that follow the what is it called? For people that follow this guide, they would well, I'm not sure if any other person follow other than yourself, Ekene, anyway. So for people that have followed this guide, basically, I believe they should see that here they have the flexibility to select between Windows and Linux. And if I select Windows, it's not going to give me PowerShell to run. And connect SQL, I'm not expecting any SQL. Connectivity method, connect to the internet directly. And if you have a virtual private network endpoint that you want to use, you can use that. But I think public endpoint is okay. I'm not using any proxy, so that's okay. And if I click on download scripts, you see that this is different from what you said. This is not a PowerShell. Hello, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, yes, yes.
This is a bash. So bash will run on any Linux. So all you need is to get this command line or even type the command line one by one into just go into your Linux. If you do a sudo in any of your Linux and you are able to if you do a sudo in any of your Linux and you are able to run this command, yeah, so if you're able to run this command successfully on the system, you'll be fine. Open a bash console to run the script. All you need to ensure is that you can browse what is it called? You can browse on the VMs and you have the local administrator permission. So if you have the root permission on the Linux system, then you'd be fine. And if you're able to run this, you should be fine. So I think what you must have missed is the fact of when you were creating when you were creating supplying the details, I believe you must have selected Windows. If you select
Windows.
Windows and you click on next, then what is it called is different. You have a PowerShell instead of a bash.
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Correct. I think what your explanation is correct. It's very, very much correct. That's what I did.
Um, Anyone else tried?
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, please go ahead, Wally.
I did. So what I did was to first I tried to download that Vol. Is it Vol DB?
Yeah, vol up. Yeah,
Yeah, I downloaded it, but when
yeah,
I tried to extract it,
yeah.
it didn't. I couldn't extract it.
You couldn't extract.
Yeah, I couldn't extract it. So I then move on to Metasploitable. I
Yeah,
had downloaded Metasploitable when I was teaching a CompTIA class. However, I completed it anyways. I downloaded Metasploitable. I already also had a VM.
yeah,
So I use another of my laptop,
yeah,
run the script on it. So I ran into this problem of um, the command is disabled. I need to allow either permanent or temporary. So I ran the script again and I was able to onboard.
yeah,
So I could see I could see the laptop
yeah,
on the tenancy.
yeah,
I then went into the virtual box. That
yeah,
virtual box was Windows 10.
yeah,
I was able to onboard it. So I
yeah,
have two of those devices in my tenancy now. The
yeah,
only one I didn't try, which I didn't have time to do because I did everything last night, was the my Metasploitable. So I was able to download Metasploitable,
yeah,
um, um, mount it on my VM,
yeah,
and logged in into it, check the IP,
yeah,
but I didn't get the script to bring the script into it. Well, there was no time, so I had to go and was late in the night, so I had to go and sleep. But so I have the window virtual box, Windows 10 virtual box on
yeah,
now. Then I have another Windows 11
yeah,
on the cloud. So I used the Azure Arc to bring them on board. But
on
the
board.
other thing I tried to do was to download Metasploitable 3, which
Yeah,
is window actually, but
yeah,
I have not completed that. So that's where I stopped.
okay. And yeah, so the other question I was going to ask are what are the were you able to see vulnerabilities on those vulnerable VMs?
Yes. So one thing I noticed was it was telling me that um it was that the devices are partially onboarded.
Yeah,
So I could see vulnerabilities. When I checked my Defender for cloud,
yeah,
Microsoft Defender for cloud,
mm,
it told me the assets, said access resources, there are 7. I
yeah,
think so I'd already created the Windows 20 on the cloud, that's
yeah,
virtual machine. I have a Linux also. I have a Windows server, I have a Linux. Then the two devices I brought in, are there, and all of them, then I have a virtual network and I have a subnet. All
Yeah.
of them, they have vulnerability on all the devices.
Yeah.
But I have not done anything. I've not done anything else. Then my Azure credit, subscription credit also was used.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ali. Did any other person tried from group A, group B? Group A, Group B, any thoughts? Okay, I think some things on the chat. Good evening. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done. Coming. Okay, there's no response on Group C till now. They all ghosted. Emmanuel, yes. Emmanuel, I'm not sure what you said yes to. Yes, you tried it. Yes, you didn't have time to attempt it. Which one? It's okay to unmute. Emmanuel.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes,
Okay, go ahead, please.
okay. Yes, I did on board one of my virtual machine. So it's not a server because I have server on the Azure already. So I just onboarded the Windows OS. I don't want to set up another server on my virtual box again. So I onboarded the Windows OS to I with the Azure Arc to the Azure. So I tried to uninstall one of the security updates, but I was not seeing the recommendation on the um, Defender for Cloud. So I'm trying to see if I can get another vulnerability so as to exploit the security so that I can have a recommendation on the Microsoft Defender. But the security update I uninstalled. It was not showing an impact that much on the Defender for Cloud. So that's what I did.
Emmanuel, your voice is quite low.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Better, better.
If you can maintain it, this way.
Okay, so what I said was that I onboarded one of my VMs to the Azure with the through the Azure Hack to Azure, and I said I uninstalled one of the security updates on the virtual machine so as to really get a
Emmanuel, your voice at some point it goes totally low.
okay, so I
If you
said
can just maintain this, yeah, if you can maintain this, this is good.
okay, I said I uninstalled one of the updates on my on the virtual machine so as to see if I can get an alert on the Microsoft Defender for Cloud, but I guess probably the one I uninstalled was not showing an alert yet. So I said I was going to kind of see another vulnerability that can make it trigger an alert on the Defender for Cloud. So I ordered the OS to I was able to order the OS to
Okay, Emmanuel, we can't really hear you.
But I think it's okay. So do we have any question on that just before we move on to
So I think I saw some questions in the group. I saw some people who probably haven't been able to onboard the the on-prem VM or even their own system on the
yeah.
cloud.
Mm.
I don't know if there's anyone that want to ask specific question, or the way we have tried to address it in the group chats, maybe you now have clarity on what to do. The reason this is important is because you need to, again, Bayokun mentioned already that VM is not really the subject of the class. Having a VM is a foundational topic in IT, but it is important because it means that if you don't if you miss that section of that knowledge or hands-on, you're probably going to be imagining or assume things as we are going, and it's not going to be very helpful for you. So it's good that you address maybe any challenge you had so that IOPME can speak to them, especially people that have issues with Linux. Thank you.
And actually, to be honest, apologies. I saw some of the people struggling, but in fact, I was already telling Wale yesterday that maybe we will have to cancel today because I didn't know that I'll be this energetic even this evening. I've been very strong, so I felt, I wanted to hold a session actually to do like a walkthrough and also change the assignment just to tweak the assignment to give you something different to do. But I was too strong to even respond to some of the chats. That was why I couldn't help during the week. I saw some chats and I just could only respond to maybe one or two. So I think I would have somebody already suggested a meeting. So I was going to also come online and use that session to actually give clarity to people that were struggling. But apologies, I was just also I was a little stressed to be able to, to be available to do that. So if you still have anything you want to clarify, I think it's okay. But if you don't, we can move on to the agenda of the day. Okay, if there is none, I think while we can take a break, and then when we come back, we can start with Copilot and security. Okay. I'll get back to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. As part of the SC-200, we have a course here that says mitigate. We have a module that says mitigate threats using Microsoft Security Copilot. Some of us must already be familiar with Copilot, especially for people who have been using all these generative AI, basically to maybe generate content. For me, I use Copilot once in a while, the free version though, to I write a lot of what's it called? I write a lot of technical documents at work. Sometimes when we're designing for clients, we do things like target operating model, where we do a design of what the future state of the architecture should, or maybe a program should look like. And there are instances where they ask me for things like, I think I remember one person saying that if it's possible for us to list out all of the abbreviations and their interpretations, sort of. And I look at the document, I saw like over 130 documents. I can't do that just going one by one. So I normally just use Copilot to do things like that, to find me all of the acronyms or abbreviations in the document. I just upload it on Copilot and I tell you to find me acronyms and abbreviations. So I use it for things like that. And different people nowadays take advantage of generative AI and other AI, and even the bad actors use AI to actually improve their sophistications. But as a security engineer, we also need to take advantage of AI to actually improve our work and our efficiency. In an organization where you have many servers connected to where you have many servers that you are monitoring, and you have alerts coming or events coming in from those servers every seconds, it will be impractical, even if all of the people in the information security department were to be efficient. It will be impractical for them to actually review all of the alerts. So the only way you can be effective is actually you can review everything, but you can't review everything at human speed. It's just not possible. But at machine speed, yeah, maybe that is very possible. And that is why you need to also take advantage of things like the AI solutions that are available for security engineer, and one from Microsoft is actually the security copilot. So there is the Microsoft Copilot that the business users use, but there is the Microsoft Security Copilot that the security engineers and the threat engineers can also leverage to actually enhance their capabilities and also improve their operations. And if we look at this, the basic knowledge that one needs to have to be able to do this is to already have a working knowledge of Defender XDR, which we all do. Have basic knowledge of security operation and incident response, which I believe we all do. Have a bit of security compliance identity product. Maybe not all of us will probably know that area, at least not for now. At least not for now, but I assume yes, that we have a basic understanding of what that is. And now the introductory part talks about the generative AI. And basically it talks about, I'm just going to open it in another tab. So it talks about generative AI. I think some of us will probably wonder how AI actually does what it does and everything. It's not witchcraft. So for people who are interested in the details of how the generative AI works, I'm just going to skim through this particular unit. For people who are interested in the details, they can go through it. It tells you in details how generative AI actually works. So for people who want to understand the technology behind generative AI, when you put something in the chat, how generative AI always understand what it is that you have written and how it's able to generate all of those responses for you. So this unit actually give you the details of all of those. But also, just because we don't have much time, I'm not going to spend more time on this. The only one that I would love to talk about is so you can go through the course at your pleasure. But the only thing I'm going to talk about is a responsible AI. Yeah, responsible generative AI solution. So normally as a security engineer, and the reason why I'm just going to talk about this is because in most organizations, there's always a question between compliance. I mean, ensuring that people are free to use what they are what they want to use, and also ensuring compliance as well. One of the ways organizations are losing data these days is through the use of large language model like ChatGPT, ChatGPT, like Gemini and all, because end users just always copy every information without actually censoring before posting them into before inputting them into some of those large language model. And those data will not only be used to actually give them the output. Sometimes also those information are reused by the models to actually provide response to other users who submit prompts to those models. So basically, a lot of organizations are losing data by that. You even see some CFO actually copying financial data and pasting it into such models. So responsive AI principle is actually one of the guiding principles for people that use or that develop what's it called, AI systems. And this is one of the principles that are used in around the Europe also to actually decide maybe which AI should be allowed and which one should not be allowed, basically. So for I don't know, you may just find it somewhere within maybe interview or something. That's why I'm just trying to spotlight the responsible AI principle, which includes fairness, that AI systems should treat everyone fairly, reliable and safe. So basically, all AI systems should perform reliably and safely without introducing maybe bias, without introducing willingly introducing any risk into output, just to what's it called, maybe just to get some what would be the right word, without introducing bias, without manipulating the end user, basically, and not introducing bias to manipulate maybe the user's decision, sort of. It's privacy and security. It should be secure and it should be respect privacy. Private information that make it to those systems should be treated with as such, with respect. Inclusive, should empower everyone and engage every people. Transparency, it should be understandable, but people that use them need to be accountable for the AI system. So I just wanted to spotlight that. But like I mentioned, anyone that is interested in knowing in details how generative AI works, so you'll find everything in here. Now, just to the security. Now to describe Microsoft's security copilots. So I already explained earlier why solution like Microsoft security copilots will be essential. Basically, a lot of time, I mentioned that the number of attacks are increasing, and also you are monitoring alerts, monitoring events to detect when you are under attack. And if you have those events coming per seconds in their thousands, it's just not humanly possible to actually go through them and be able to quickly make a decision in good time. And also, oftentimes you have a shortage of talent, and those conversations are the reason why you are having things like automation integration and also consolidation of tools. And then also visibility into security, privacy, compliance, and governance may also be an issue for an organization. So when organization have maybe one of these three or even some more issues, they may actually consider a solution like having an AI powered security solution or an AI security assistant, basically something like a Microsoft Security Copilot. So Microsoft Security Copilot is AI-powered cloud-based security analysis tools, and it enables analysts to respond to threats quickly, process signals at machine speed, and assess risk of exposure more quickly than may otherwise be possible. So there are so many use cases that you can put security copilot to, and some of them are what is highlighted here, which include investigating, remediating threats. A lot of time, if you look at what is it called, advanced hunting here, a lot of time if you want to build something like a KQL, which we're going to get to also later in this course, if you want to write a KQL, KQL, by the way, just is a coastal query. So if you want to write a KQL, a lot of people will first begin thinking about okay, where do they need to start from, and all of those things. So one of the things that the security copilot can do for you is actually to help you write maybe like a security query. So if you don't know how to start or where to start, basically, that's one of the things that the security copilots can do for you. I believe, of course, that maybe the ordinary copilot, or what is it called, might also be able to do that. But because it's also within the fabric of Defender, it has access to the data that you need, and it's actually able to construct the query faster and also construct the right query that gives you the right query better than what maybe ChatGPT or any other solution would be able to give you. It can help you understand risks and manage security posture of your organization, troubleshoot IT issue faster. It can help you define and manage security policies. If you don't know what policies you need to define, and it can also help you cross-reference policies. If you have multiple policies and someone has been complaining, you don't know which of your policies may have caused issue. It can also help you review your policies to actually tell you which one may be giving you where the conflict may be coming from. So it can help you configure secure lifecycle workflow for users, for access, and for assets. And it can also help you develop reports for stakeholders. And for security copilots, you can have it as a standalone and you can have it as an embedded experience. So you can have it as a standalone, the way if I want to use security, what's it called? The standalone Copilot. I can just go to copilot.microsoft.com. So you can also have a standalone security Copilot through its dedicated sites, and you can have it as an embedded experience. In embedded experience, you have it also included as part of your security tool. So currently, because it's not enabled, I don't see it here, but when enabled, I should be able to see something like security copilot around here. So while I need to write this query, if I don't know what to write, basically, I can click on the security copilot, and the copilot I can ask the copilot questions on how to do it, and then it can do it for me. And basically, if you look at this, you see the interface is here, is the interface of the security copilot as a standalone. And in the embedded experience, you can see the security copilot here. And basically clicking it here, you have this option, and you can see the question that was asked, get logon attempt by domain account targeted by credential theft. So basically it's write the custom query that so I need to run basically. And this you can easily copy, paste it here and run what you need to run. So instead of spending time trying to figure out what you need to do, you can easily just ask the copilot and then it's able to give you that details basically. And if you are interested in learning, you can go and learn. And the good thing is when you are integrating, I mean, when you are interacting with it, when you are interacting with it, you are interacting with it in your natural language. So it's natural language processing, basically, and it's based on, I mean, it's just based on OpenAI service, which the business copilot also is based on. And now, if you look at it in terms of integration with security-specific resources, in terms of that, you can also see it integrates basically with OpenAI, and it's OpenAI based basically, and integrates into the whole of Microsoft security fabric, from threat intelligence to end user tooling to orchestrators to AI infrastructures, basically. So I won't bug us with maybe the terminologies, but it's always good for you to actually know all of these if you are going to use it. Basically, a lot of organizations are looking for people who are efficient these days. I think I was reading something on LinkedIn earlier today when someone was talking about, I mean, not IT, not security related. It was just maybe a CEO of a company, and he was talking about wanting to do, I mean, they have a process where they acquire new customers, and he's saying that they are spending a lot of time trying to do that. And the question they brought to him was, I mean, the request they brought to him was the need for more people. And he felt like more people is not the solution. Maybe what they should be thinking is how to actually automate that bit, that he would rather employ someone that will come and automate it rather than employ someone that will come and take that overhead. Because when they have more people, they will come back to him to say that they still need to employ more people again. So, which is true. So, as a security engineer as well, one of the things that we need to think about, yeah, as the attack is getting sophisticated, as tools to create attack is being made more affordable for people to afford, and then to be able to perpetrate whatever nuances that they want to perpetrate basically. Security engineers should also be thinking of how to improve and how to be efficient in actually combating attacks, basically how to automate detection, how to automate a lot of things, just for them to also be able to show value. So for security copilots, basically I'm just going to allow you to go and read about the terminologies and about the different plugins basically that are available. And some of these plugins, just the questions about the plugins. The plugins are used to integrate into different solutions, including Microsoft's own security products, such as Microsoft Sentinel, Microsoft Defender, Microsoft Intune, Microsoft solutions as well, and open source intelligence feed. So basically, we all know that anything AI will thrive on data. They are trained by data and they still need data to function. If it don't tell you what you want, basically, it can't provide any output to you. So the same way also for the security copilot to be able to do its work, it also needs to have access to data and access to your critical information that you want it to be able to provide you insights and information on. So if you want it to be able to provide you information on Defender XDR, then it has to be integrated. And one way of integrating it is by ensuring that you have the plugin for those specific platform enabled. And the same way you have plugins for Microsoft platform, you have plugin also for non-Microsoft solutions that you also can use. So here you see examples of plugin, and you see for some of the Microsoft plugins, you see the Azure Firewall, you see Azure Firewall, you see Azure WAF, you see Defender, Microsoft Defender External Attack Surface Management. And for non-Microsoft, you see for hash lookup, you see something like a security plugin for ServiceNow. You see for Splunk. Splunk is one of the most common log management. Some will say that it's a SIM. Well, it also can pass as a SIM basically. So you also have a Copilot plugin also for that, and you also have it for public web as well. So the same way you actually use the same way you actually use
Please, can I ask you a question for 1 second, please?
sorry?
If I have a question for just 1 second, sorry for
Yeah, go ahead,
interrupting.
please.
Can Splunk be integrated with Microsoft
Can Splunk
SDR? Be
yeah,
integrated with Microsoft?
yeah, you can I think we talk about that. You can export, you can import. So yes, the answer is yes.
How about the Splunk ES, the enterprise security?
Enterprise security what?
Splunk ES, Splunk ES.
Splunk E. I'm not very familiar with all of Splunk solution. So I know you can, yeah, I know you can export into it and you can
The
import into it.
the Splunk ES function as a swap part of the Splunk. Yeah, if I'm correct.
I didn't hear that question, perhaps because of your background. I mean, someone else was
Okay.
as you.
Am I audible now?
Audible, but someone else is
Yes.
also talking behind you.
How about now?
Yeah, it's clear. Go ahead.
Yes, I said Splunk ES function as a swap part of Splunk. So I don't
Yeah.
know if it can be integrated into Microsoft's
It,
platforms as well.
yeah, I said it should be possible, but
Oh,
I've not done it myself before. So, but I believe it should be possible. Yeah, it should be possible. But I can check it for you. Yep. So in terms of prompting and getting a response from what's it called? Security co-pilots. I mean, it's just follow the same thing that we all do with ChatGPT. Basically, you submit a response to the co-pilots. The orchestration, determine the initial context and build a plan using all the available skills, build context, execute the plan to get the required data context to answer the prompt. Plugins, analyze all data and patterns to provide intelligent insights. So basically, before you can start prompting, you must have all of these plugins for the different sources that would be of interest to you. You must already have it enabled and installed. And that's basically what, I mean, those are basically what it use to actually fetch data from different sources. So it analyzes all of the data and patterns to provide intelligent insight, combines all data and context, and the model will work out a response and then format the data, which is then output to the human users. So in terms of the process, everything you can go ahead and read it here. But also in a defender, if you look at this one, for instance, I think for this particular instance that we have on this log, during this process, Copilot generates a log that is visible to the user. The user can see what is capable of. So I think someone asked, what is it called, Copilot to run a summarize defender incident, blah, 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 26530. And it completed that in, I think, 1 minute 36 seconds. It choose the incident, it find the incidents within 26 seconds, process the request within 1 minute, 1 minute 9 seconds, and prepare the response within 5 seconds, basically. So if you give me these tasks or anyone tasks, I mean anyone a task of analyzing an incident within 2 minutes, I think that will not be possible. Before you click and then it's even load on your page, before you start taking notes and thinking, I think 10 minutes is gone. So it's just not possible for anybody to do this, we all know, within that time frame. So basically it's asking about the elements of effective prompting. So I think this is just a ChatGPT training in parts. So basically I'm going to skip all of these parts that what's it called? All of these parts that what's it called? All of these parts that talk about ChatGPT. And also I'll say here that we will not cover the training for this. I mean, we're not going to cover the hands-on for this, basically because it's going to consume your Azure credits, and you may also need to then have to start paying for the rest of the session. So just to avoid that, that's why we're going to skip it. So it requires us setting up a capacity instance for it in Azure for us to be able to use it. So that just basically gives us an overview of what the Microsoft Security Copilot is, the different terminologies, the prompt structure, also the need for plugin deployment for you to be able to access other systems, both Microsoft and non-Microsoft, and also how the Microsoft Security Copilot works. So we have the what is it called? Describe the core features of Microsoft Security Copilot. So basically, I think I'm just going to allow us to go and read the rest. So like I said, most of the content of this course, it just has to be mentioned because of what is it called? It's part of the syllabus and it's part of what Microsoft expects you to use. But for the purpose of this training, you can demonstrate it, but it will consume almost all of your free credits. So I think just because we stand to learn some other things and also gain some more hands-on in some other areas. So I'm not going to spend so much time in actually trying to demonstrate. What I can do is just try to demonstrate it to you, but I'm not going to go in details. I'm not going to go in details in trying to trying to ask you individually to set it up just to ensure that you don't burn your Azure credits and then having to pay for the rest of the training. Okay. So I think on Microsoft Copilot, I'll stop here. And for anyone that needs to read, you can go ahead and do the rest of the reading. But I think it's actually good to know and to read. And I'll say that if you plan to write the exam, I'll encourage you to read it because it's also part of the topic area that is covered in the exam and you are expected to know it. So any question? Any question?
Thanks, Ayopami. I guess that's where we're stopping today, right?
Yeah, that's where we're stopping today. So on Saturday, I'll try to just do a demo of this, but there won't be any assignments on it just because it's resource intensive. I mean, it consumes credits, and I don't want people burning their free Azure credits on that because they'll need it later. And then we can start the next topic also from what's it called, which is I believe is Defender for Endpoints, also on Saturday.